Man, the newest episode of The Owl House was really something, wasn't it? Like, I know I say this a lot, and I know after saying this pretty much every single time, I still go on to basically review the thing in its entirety anyway. But I don't even want to review this one. I just want to say, this was an amazing episode of this show. Go watch it. And leave it at that. Like, I've used this as a joke many a times. But I'm absolutely serious when I say that I am so tempted to just make that the review and leave it at that. You guys know from me bringing it up literally 10,000 times during the recent Owl House Stravaganza catch-up reviews that I have a theory about King upcoming. And when I saw that this episode was pretty obviously going to be a King backstory episode, I decided that I had to wait to start actually putting that theory together until after this episode aired. Because while I almost definitely could have gotten it done sooner, I felt like I'd be doing a disservice to the show and to not at least wait out their first ever King backstory episode and try to incorporate the stuff from that into my theory, or, you know, at worst case scenario, drop the theory because the episode debunked it. And I can say with the utmost excitement that not even when I was doing Steven Universe theories, like the early good ones, has an episode of a show that I want to form theories about ever so confirmed one of my theories. Like, it's not 100% confirmed. The core idea of that upcoming video is still something that hasn't been even suggested in show yet. But all of the new information that we learned in this episode about King's history and about who he is and who he might be just adds to the pile of stuff that I was already theorizing about him and makes the ideas that I had, I think, way more likely. Because what this episode is primarily about is King insists that he really was the king of demons. He insists this to Luce and Hootie and Lilith, who are the only ones present at the very beginning of the episode. And Lilith flat out doesn't believe him because she knows history from her time in the Emperor's Coven and insists that there was never a king over all demons, that the demons were never united under a king. And it's here that we learn that Luce just humors him. She doesn't actually believe that he's the king of anything. She just humors him because he's a child. Like, this episode does confirm outright that King is a child. And she loves him, and she wants to play along with his cute little fantasies. But he insists that he can prove it, so he takes them to what he thinks is his castle, the place where Ida found him. Shows off a bunch of symbols and paintings and reliefs, which show a creature that does look like a larger, more intimidating version of him. The structure itself is made out of a material that Lilith doesn't recognize. The symbols seem older than any current known language, and she admits that it seems like this is a place that's been lost to history. There are sections of the tower that they can't get into because some stone has collapsed and blocked the only entrance up into them. And King does seem to have vague memories about doing things out of this castle at some point in the past, of leading some of the campaigns that seem to be recorded in the various reliefs. It's only once Ida shows up, having realized what was going on and followed them there, and revealing that she found King there as a baby, creating little fake stone soldiers for himself, taking him home, seeing him do the same thing with his stuffed animals, and jokingly calling him a king, that it's revealed that that's seemingly where he gets the idea from that he used to be a king. From that, and from seeing those various pictures on the walls of this place where he took up residence. There's also a weird flesh and stone golem thing that chases them around the building and then out of the building, and Ida knows what it is because she encountered it back when she first found King there the first time. The behavior of which is super suspicious and makes it pretty obvious pretty immediately that something about what Ida is saying is incorrect to some degree or another, but it does seem like that theory that King might be the king of demons has been put to rest. Because King insists that he was shrunk down from his original larger size, that something transformed him into what he is now. But the idea that he was just a baby that Ida found in this old tower, and who she seemingly gave the king name to, and the whole idea of his kingship too, seems to contradict the idea that he was anything other than just a child. But then they do make it into that upper area of the tower, and they do discover more of King's past. They learn that the weird flesh and stone golem thing was trying to protect King from them, that it serves him, that he was born here, and that it's his father in those various images. That whatever this place was, it seems to have been built in part for him. It just probably isn't actually a castle. I mean, it could be, but I don't think it's supposed to be. But it's so interesting, because all this does is establish that King was the child of that King of Demons thing that we've seen in images before. That thing that he calls the King of Demons, right? It doesn't actually prove that that thing was the King of Demons, or that he's the Prince of Demons. But it certainly seems to be what it's suggesting, because when Ida called him king for the first time, he reacts as if he likes the ring of that, right? But the way he says it, it almost sounds like he likes the ring of it because he's remembering something vaguely and it feels right. That doesn't disprove the idea that he's the king of something, or supposed to be the king of something. It just explains why the characters might think he's not the king of something. And straight up, I'm drafting the latest version of that king is the king theory in my head right now as I speak, because I can't help it. That's how my brain works. Please help. And I'll tell you, straight up, most of the stuff in that theory, because I'm going to try to keep it relatively short. I'm trying to go back to relatively short theories again, right? Just make things a little more streamlined for you guys and myself. Most of the stuff in that theory is going to be from this episode. It's just going to be with the disclaimer that, hey, I kind of already thought this before this episode basically confirmed it. And then I'm going to give my big world-shaking thesis and go into why I think that's the case, right? I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this episode. And I'm seeing a lot of people who were feeling like the Owl House really wasn't doing anything with the lore of its world. Like the lore of its magic, sure, but not the lore of its world. Getting back into the show full throttle because of this episode. So if you're someone who felt like you were falling out with the show a little bit, definitely watch this one. It might change your mind. And I know I said the thing and you didn't believe me because I've said the thing before and then still given basically a full-length review of the rest of the thing, but that's where I'm going to end this one. It's so good. There's so much lore here and so much implied lore and so much speculative lore. It's maybe my favorite episode of the entire show so far. It's only a maybe because Agony of a Witch is so freaking good. Like, I knew I needed King backstory. I knew I needed King lore because it's a thing that was conspicuously missing from the entire first season of this show. But man, I didn't expect to just be blown away by it like I was. That's it. I'm going to stop there before I go off on a tangent or something. And I'm probably going to go start recording footage for that theory literally right now. How about that? As per usual, though, guys, what do you think of... I had to go look up the name of the goddamn episode. Echoes of the Past. What do you guys think of Echoes of the Past if you have seen it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else you think would enjoy my content, subscribe if you haven't. Maybe, look for a link to my Steven Universe comic review that I dropped yesterday, since literally no one has watched it yet, and I really need some engagement on that video. You can also check out the links to my various social medias, and to all of the various ways you can help out the channel. Those will be in the video description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.